He is known for betting against the housing market before the '08 financial crisis. We continue our Big Short Week special with a CNBC exclusive interview. Steve Eisman is Senior Portfolio Manager at Neuberger Berman. He joins us now. Welcome back, Steve. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
You weren't surprised by this sell-off that we saw yesterday's session?
You think I wasn't surprised? I was. Who are you talking to? I was surprised.
You were surprised.
Yes.
You didn't think that this rotation was sort of.
Rotations are always violent. They always catch everybody unawares, and it's not a fundamental correction. It's like a psychological rotation. People all of a sudden woke up to the fact, like, I want to own something else for a while.
Do you think that
I never can anticipate those things?
Right. Do you think the psychological rotation, though, is something that will hold? Is this something worth investing around? This change in psyche?
I don't trade. I just don't trade. I'm not particularly good at it. God bless people who are. I just like to hold stocks for a long time. So I don't think fundamentals have really changed all that much. I mean, the only negative data point I would point to is consumer spending seems to have slowed a little bit on the margin, and delinquencies are up a touch, but nothing. And probably the economy has slowed a little bit, but I don't particularly find any of that alarming.
Steve, it's interesting. Last time you were here, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, so if I'm wrong, just please correct me, as is your want to do. But you said basically 100% certainty that candidate Trump would be president in November.
Yes.
Has anything changed over the last couple of weeks? Because some of this market gyration.
Has anything changed politically? Wait, is that what you're asking
That's
me?
what I'm asking you.
You haven't noticed?
Will you stand by that, or is this change the calculus a little bit?
Well, if you go back to when I said it, I said it a month well before the debate. And so what I said back then was that what was going to happen was that the protesters were going to convene in Chicago, and they would burn the American flag, and they would burn the Israeli flag, and they would say a lot of very not nice things, and the whole country would be appalled. I think that part of my prediction will be 1,000 times proven to be true, because you got a little preview of that yesterday when Prime Minister Netanyahu was speaking in Congress and the protests took over Union Station, and it got pretty ugly. They burned an American flag. They did graffiti over all these monuments. I think the protesters probably think, given how up in the air the Democratic Party is right now, and they probably think they have an ability maybe to influence things. That they're going. If I thought, let's say, 2,000 people were going to be at the Democratic convention, it's going to be 50,000 people. I mean, I don't know, but it's going to be a lot of people. It's going to, I think, going to be very ugly. And so that part of my prediction doesn't change at all.
Steve, going back to the markets, again, trying to call these sorts of moves is really tough to do. And again, you're long.
I think it's impossible.
Yeah, and again, but. You think AI has a lot of legs, right?
Yes.
And you've talked about it. You see it kind of seeping through a lot of different other industries. Much like last summer in July into Q2 earnings period, we saw a slowdown in the sentiment of that. Those stocks sold off. We're kind of in that same period right now. What do you think?
Almost to the day.
Yeah. What do you think about the CapEx cycles? Because I believe NVIDIA started selling off when Google, Alphabet's, CapEx wasn't that much better than expected. So next week we have Microsoft and we have Meta, which are two big customers of NVIDIA. And so do you use these opportunities? Let's just say those stocks, are down 25%, 30%. Are you adding to those positions there? And if you get these sorts of sell-offs?
I mean, on sell-offs, if they're big enough, we probably would add. Let me give you a data point that tells me that we are so early in this AI story, it's hard to even tell where we are. So Accenture has two businesses. They have consulting business and they have the outsourcing business. And the consulting business is not doing particularly well, not badly, but not well. But the outsourcing business is growing very rapidly. And the reason why it's growing very rapidly is companies all over the United States and in Europe are hiring Accenture to clean up their data. You have companies, major companies, that are not even in a position to do anything with an AI because their data is not yet clean and in one spot. So most of corporate America is just in the early process of cleaning its data before they can even figure out what to do with respect to AI.
But Snowflake is in that same business, and Snowflake has down 60-some% from its highs and is trading near 52-week lows. So again, I mean, there's kind of easy ways to kind of think about some of this stuff, but like I could probably counter almost everything you say, because unless you tell me that Microsoft, NVIDIA, all these companies are going to be $5 trillion companies, which I'm not sure they're going to be that anytime soon. I just think that there's a potential hangover for a lot of these stocks because a lot of the performance has been pulled forward.
Well, I mean, you could have made the same argument last year, and then NVIDIA numbers exploded. So, look, I just think the AI story is early. What Microsoft is going to say, what NVIDIA is going to say, I have no idea.
Mm-hmm. But the bottom line, it sounds like the pull-off that we saw, as terrible as it might have felt during the day.
It felt bad.
It felt bad. It's not a pullback that you would buy. You haven't. Did you add to positions based on?
Well, we're fully invested.
Okay.
So can we do things on the margin? Mm-hmm. Sure, but I mean, generally speaking, our clients are fully invested, and we've done pretty well, and we're not changing. The only reason why we would not be fully invested is because we think there's a recession coming, and that I don't see.
Right. You do see, going back to the predictions in politics, a red sweep happening.
That I don't know.
You don't know. Okay.
I still think. I'm pretty certain that Trump will be president. Mm-hmm. I don't know whether it's going to be a complete red sweep or not. Okay. I find, if I may pontificate for a moment about what has just happened, one of my favorite shows in the world is The West Wing. And the last season, there's a wonderful scene, which I think is very pertinent to today, which is Jimmy Smits becomes the president-elect, but unfortunately his vice presidential candidate has died. And so he has to pick somebody. And so he has a conversation with Alan Alda, who's the guy that he beat. And he says to Alan Alda, I have a legal opinion that says that I can appoint anybody I want to be vice president, and the 583 electoral college members can vote for this person, that person becomes vice president. What do you think? And Alan Alda says, this is the United States of America. You can't have 583 people nobody's ever heard of pick the vice president of the United States. It has to be an open process. Well, I'm not telling you to support Kamala Harris or not to support Kamala Harris, but she just got picked and completely not. The president of the United States just appointed her to run for president. Right. And everybody's saying, OK. I find that very strange. I really do. And it says to me, more likely than not, that her support in the country is going to be a mile wide and an inch deep.